Have you ever stopped to look at massive modern infrastructure? I mean, we're talking sprawling maritime ports or colossal industrial complexes. Have you ever wondered how the invisible forces powering them are actually managed? We are quite literally surrounded by an immense scale of engineering, but the electrical backbone keeping the whole shebang alive is totally invisible to the naked eye. Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to unpack the absolute foundational engineering principles that keep our modern world powered, specifically zooming in on the critical relationship between active and apparent power.
So here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit 1, sizing massive power systems, 2, active versus apparent power, 3, the power factor formula, 4, billing, sizing, and penalties, 5, heat, losses, and loads, and finally, 6, the final engineering verdict. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, Sizing Massive Power Systems.
Imagine for a second, you're tasked with trying to design the power grid for something massive, like the Benban Solar Park, or maybe a colossal new maritime port. You have to lay down the infrastructure, order these massive transformers, and build the substations. But, and here's the catch, you have absolutely no idea what the end users are eventually going to plug in. You don't know the exact loads, the exact machines, or the specific operating conditions that'll exist, say, 5 or 10 years down the line. So how on earth do you prepare for the unknown?
Well, this brings us to a really fundamental problem, what we can call the core engineering paradox. The folks manufacturing the electrical equipment, they simply don't know the end user's power factor. Because they can't predict exactly how efficiently the end user will actually utilize the power provided, they're forced into a specific design strategy. They literally have to size their transformers and gensets by the total current flow, not just the power that does the actual physical work.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 2, active versus apparent power. Let's look at our first force here, kilowatt, or the kiloW. This is known as real or active power. Think of kilowatt as the focused worker on the job site doing the actual physical tasks. This is the energy that's legitimately consumed by the load to perform a specific, tangible task. When you see those heavy industrial motors spinning, or when you feel the heat radiating from industrial heaters, or even just see the lights turn on, that physical output is all thanks to kilowatt. It's the working power. It gets the job done. On the flip side, we have kVA, or kilovolt ampere. This is known as apparent power. Now, if kW is our worker, kVA is the expansive, maybe slightly mysterious total package that the electrical system actually has to supply. You see, an electrical system doesn't just do the physical work, it also has to keep the hidden magnetic fields in inductive equipment alive. Stuff like motors and transformers absolutely require this baseline magnetic field just to operate. So kVA represents the vector sum of that real power doing the work, plus the reactive power sustaining those magnetic fields.
All right, moving on to Section 3, the power factor formula. We govern this whole relationship with a pretty elegant equation. P, which is your active power in kilowatts, equals S, your apparent power in kVA, multiplied by the cosine of phi. Now, the absolutely crucial point here is that power factor, mathematically represented as the cosine of phi. This single piece of the equation acts as the ratio of real power to apparent power. It basically tells you exactly how much of your total package is actually being converted into hard work.
Breaking down these variables, P is your active power and S is your apparent power. But I want you to focus on the power factor, the cosine of phi. It's a number ranging strictly from 0 to 1. A power factor of exactly 1 means your system is perfectly efficient. Every single bit of apparent power is translating directly into working active power. But as that number drops closer to 0, well, it dictates a major drop in the ultimate efficiency of the entire system. It basically means you're drawing way more total power just to get a tiny bit of actual work done. Let's jump over to Section 4, billing, sizing, and penalties. Out in the real world, in a professional context, there's a serious showdown between these two forces. kW dictates your energy consumption charges. It's what you're billed for based on the work actually performed by your motors and heaters. But because kVA is the total power the utility actually has to supply to you, that's what triggers your demand penalties. Plus, while you use kW to rate your individual motors, you absolutely must use kVA to rate your transformers and generator sets. Why? Because they have to handle the entire load, magnetic fields, and all the rest of it. Now for Section 5, heat, losses, and loads. There are 3 main factors that force your apparent power to actually exceed your active power in the field. The first is your load profile. If you have a purely resistive circuit, like a basic space heater, your power factor is a perfect 1.0. Your kW equals your kVA.
But if you introduce inductive loads, like the specialized electronics and heavy motors you'd find in marine infrastructure, the current and voltage get thrown out of phase. This creates reactive power. The second factor, efficiency and system losses. Heat naturally dissipates in cables and transformers across your network. Actually, just these first two factors alone mean your kVA demand is basically always going to equal or exceed the utilized kW.
And here's the third factor, and honestly, it's a fascinating one: environmental derating. In an incredibly high-temperature environment, say the intense summer heat of the Middle East, equipment efficiency just naturally drops. While the core mathematical definition of power doesn't change, this physical environmental derating forces engineers to artificially pump up their kVA readings. They literally have to size their transformers and gensets significantly higher just to ensure that the required active working power, the kW, actually survives those thermal losses and reaches the equipment. Wild, right?
Bringing us to our final section, number 6, the final engineering verdict.
Remember that core paradox we talked about earlier? We don't know the end user's power factor. But sizing a transformer by kVA ensures the copper and the core can handle the total current flow, completely regardless of how much of that power is active versus reactive. Ultimately, sizing by apparent power is the ultimate engineering safety net. If you don't account for the total package, the working power plus the reactive power maintaining those magnetic fields, the sheer volume of current will literally overwhelm the physical copper. Sizing by kVA protects the core from catastrophic physical failure. It's an absolute lifesaver.
So, we've covered a ton of ground today. After demystifying the invisible forces of kW and kVA, we have to ask, how are you going to apply this math to safeguard your own massive infrastructure designs? Whether you're reviewing plans for a maritime port or sizing a genset for an industrial complex, understanding the critical ratio of the power factor is the absolute key to both engineering safety and financial efficiency. Think about the loads in your next project. Remember those environmental factors. And hey, always protect the copper. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.